Hello and welcome to this video where we are going to discuss why iPerf when you can CyPerf. In modern infrastructure, traditional bandwidth testing is no longer enough. We now face a different class of stressors, ones that silently degrade performances if not tested properly. Short-lived connections are the new norm. Think of APIs, microservices, AIML workloads, each firing off thousands of brief sessions per second. Tools like iPerf only show throughput and focus majorly on max bandwidth with large peak sizes. They miss the connection churns, transaction overhead, and high concurrencies, which are exactly where the bottlenecks of these networks are. To ensure performance at scale, we must test beyond bandwidth for other dimensions like connections per second, transaction rate, and high concurrency. And in this next set of video, I'm going to show you how CyPerf Community Edition achieves exactly that. For this test, I have installed iPerf and CyPerf Community Edition in two instances. My right-hand side is an iPerf server, so I'm going to turn it on with iPerf-s. So my server is on listening. And in the iPerf client, I'm going to use a small packet like length of 1 byte, 100 seconds of duration, and every 3 seconds I'm going to poll. So basically trying to run a transaction rate kind of test with iPerf to equate it later when I run CyPerf CE on the same environment. Once the test starts at the client side, I would start seeing some traffic. And you can see with length of 1 byte, I'm only getting 3.87 megabits, 3.9 megabits per second throughput. That's really low, which kind of tells me that there is not a lot of small transactions interaction that is happening here. So I'm going to stop this test and do a similar kind of test with CyPerf Community Edition. To do that, I go to my right-hand side instance and I would type sudo CyPerf-s -CPS as I zoom in here. So this would essentially start my right-hand side as a server. The CPS kind of tells CyPerf Community Edition that it's expecting a lot of small packet from the other side. My server on the right-hand side has already started. So it's time for starting the client. So I will use -c and the IP of the server and -CPS. So this basically tells the client that you are going to send a lot of small packets. The test would start within a few seconds, and now let's analyze the results. It takes less than a second to get all the traffic, and I can see my servers are showing the stats, and you can see we're getting 70 MB per second. That's significantly higher. And we are having 4 parallel client sessions. That's a small number of parallel sessions, but the connection rate is 20,000 connections per second, right? So that shows you in the final results as well, 20,000 connections per second. And do remember, apart from just sending these TCP connections, we are also doing a request and a response of 1 byte. So it's data plus the connections that puts additional stress on the system. Now we move on and run the same command, but this time with a twist. I will add this --detailed -stats. This allows me to run the same kind of test, in both the client and the server, but with a larger amount of analysis that we can do with that. So once the test starts, I can obviously see those basic stats that we saw before, the number of active sessions, but you can also expand and see way more than that. Like, the layer 2-3 stat, like how many bytes were sent, packets sent, TCP SYN sent, SYN received, and all kinds of detail level statistics that is important to understand if your network is having some issues when it's receiving or sending such high number of small packet connections and transactions. I can then move on. So instead of using -CPS just with that, I can use this -P option with 64K. This would create parallel active sessions of 64,000. If you remember in the previous test, by default, CyPerf Community Edition creates 4 parallel sessions, so which was restricting the number of connections we can go. But now that we have these 64K parallel sessions that I'm highlighting, you can see I can go up to 100,000 connections per second. So CyPerf CE is giving you the capability to increase the number of active sessions. This is also hitting your memory because we are creating a lot more parallel communications, but these parallel sessions are also increasing the amount of performance like connection rate, throughput, all the other things that we can get. In this video, we explored the 2 dimensions of network, like connection rate with small packets, then high number of parallel sessions with -P option, CyPerf CE also exposes a plethora of options where you can run multidimensional tests, like using -L to add a higher length packet so that you can also test throughput, connection rate, concurrency, all at the same time. You can add your own files to look at different types of packets and payloads that you want to send to apply realism. And this basically enhances your overall infrastructure testing to other orthogonal dimensions to test out many different parameters of modern networks. Want to do even more? You can always upgrade to CyPerf's full edition, where you can send applications, attacks, various types of traffic profiles, VPN, ZTNA emulation, and many other advanced features. Some of these links and the YouTube videos have been provided in the description below. Thanks a lot for listening.